So today we are doing Achieve More with Less, Unlock Your Full Potential with CAE and Microsoft. I've got two amazing people to be sat waiting in the wings to get started. So they are Kat Bellingham, our Microsoft Cloud Specialist, and we've got Harry Leake, our Senior Microsoft Architect, joining us. But before they get started, I introduce Kat to the floor. Just going to go through what we're covering today. So why CAE? Unlocking efficiency, how to achieve more with less, driving results, Microsoft 365 and Azure optimization, expert insights, a comprehensive solution architect's overview, and finally, exploring innovations. Be prepared, Copilot. So I'd like to introduce Kat to join us now.
I'm the Microsoft licensing specialist here, aligned to all the account managers here at CAE. So I'm quite forward facing with customers. I'm customer facing, so I get to speak to a lot of customers about how they feel with their current provider, if there's issues they're feeling. So what we've done here is just basically listed quite a few of the top common conversations that I have. So feeling of being trapped, that could be lack of support by your partner, not contacting you. Obviously, with the NC agreement, we know that there are some changes for the CSP agreement where a license can be purchased for a year or monthly. Are you trapped and weren't actually advised the best way to go down the right way of licensing? No visibility of the information you need. So do you have access to your licenses 24/7? Can you see what pricing you're paying? Can you see how many licenses you've got? Can you see how many licenses you have spare? The dreaded renewal. Obviously, we're coming up to that season now between January and March, where majority of the NC renewals are coming up. Have you been spoken to about this yet? Is it something that you dread every year? Do you need somebody to help you take that pain away from you and actually give you some time back? As we saw in April, there was a price increase. Hopefully, obviously, you were all prepared for that before it obviously came into play. We work with all of our customers to ensure that we can lock you in for as long as possible before those price increases take effect. Lack of control over key decisions. This sort of one here will help you look at where you want to go in the future. You know, what is your 2, 3, 4 year plan? And we'll come on to that a little bit later. So what do we do? Oh, well, we're easy to access. So we've got myself, we've got Harry, who's on the call today with us. We've also got Steve, who looks after the Azure Microsoft the Azure side of things. Our support desk is UK based. It's actually in our head office in Hemel. We're building a new support desk up in our Warrington office, and that's accessible 24/7 days a week, 365 days. So you have access to support whenever you need it. There's none of this Monday to Friday, 8 to 6 p.m, for example. We have a portal where you have access again 24/7. All of the information you need is within that portal. So you can pull off billing reports. You can see your up-to-date Azure spend. You can see how many licenses you've got. You can see which users have got what licenses. Another thing we like to put into place with the account manager are regular reviews. What this means is that we'll actually hold probably every quarter, but we'll work with you where we actually give you an overview of the whole business, not just Microsoft, but we actually look at other vendors, our top tier vendors, so Cisco and Dell as well. And we'll do an account review with you and see if there's any way we can help you. A big thing for us, and it seems to be quite successful, is the optimized usage. I have got some slides further on about this, but just to give you a little bit of an overview now, what this means is that we actually have 2 tools, one for Microsoft 365 and one for Azure, where we can run and actually look at what you're consuming within Azure, what changes we can make and recommend. And with the Microsoft 365, we can actually look at are you consuming within those products. So who are we? We are a tier 1 CSP partner. So that means that we buy direct from Microsoft. There's no middle person between us and Microsoft. We are account managed by Microsoft as well, so we have access to any support that's required. As I mentioned before, our support house is actually in our Hemel office, and that's accessible 24/7. Again, you've got access to the self-service portal. That's access for you. I can add how many people you need. The funded optimization health checks. We've got a dedicated team of licensing specialists. So that's myself, Harry and Steve. And then we have a full team of experts behind us as well. We also have a monthly newsletter. which we send out beginning of each month. In this newsletter, we'll send out full updates of any interesting information that we receive from Microsoft. We also send out bulletins from time to time. So, for example, the price increase, we made sure that we were straight out the door with that update to you guys, just to ensure that you're aware that that's coming, so we can arrange a call with you to discuss how that will impact you going forward. So, as I mentioned before, we've got 2 optimization reports. Now, these are funded by us. There's no cost to you at all. What it does is it's about a 23-page document at the moment that is being shortened down as we speak. So hopefully next year, early next year, that report will be a bit more condensed. It's really easy to onboard. It's 4 steps. You'll get an onboarding guide. And then once you're onboarded, you won't even know that you're on there. It just works silently in the background. Now, it takes about 3 weeks to run. The reason why we ask for 3 weeks is so that Microsoft 365 can pick up on users that are maybe not in the business or on annual leave. What it does is it looks at basically your potential cost savings and productivity improvements. So we'll look at your use within SharePoint, OneDrive. Are you using Dropbox, for example? How can we help you move over to OneDrive because you're paying for that license? How are you using SharePoint? I've seen a couple recently that they haven't got any SharePoint activity whatsoever. So we're actually working with those customers now to put a plan in place to help migrate everything into SharePoint to make their life easier. But with the Microsoft 365, it doesn't just look at what you're using, it also looks at security and governance as well. This is really important, as we know that there's a lot of security risk going on. We then work with Harry, who looks at the secure score, and then we'll put a workshop together to go through your secure score and actually see where we can actually implement some changes with using the licenses you've already got.
Lovely, thank you, Kat. Hello, everybody. So my name's Harry. I've been at CAE for over 4 years now, a senior solutions architect, and have a sort of a focus more around the modern workplace side of things. So Office 365 and Microsoft 365. I don't have an awful lot of time today, so I'm going to have to skim through quite a lot of content. So if you do have any questions, just pop them into the Q&A on Teams. If not, you're more than welcome to follow up with us after this, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can on those queries. So there's 3 key insights I want to cover off today, and the first one being around securing access to systems and data using Microsoft. So that'll be the first topic that I'm going to go into a bit more detail on, having lots of conversations with customers about that on a daily basis. The second point will be around why having a Microsoft strategy defined is really important and how best to go about implementing one. So we've got some tips and some advice about what we do for our customers, and I'll be going through that a little bit today. And then lastly, it will be around how CAE and Microsoft can help you with that journey. We've got some packages and things that we can talk to you to help you start that journey, and we do work with Microsoft very closely with the offerings that they have as well. We're starting with how to secure access to systems with Microsoft. So I just wanted to sort of set the scene and start with security. Really, I think that security is the big elephant in the room. And it's on people's minds. It's real. It's happening day by day. There's a cyber security breach could be imminent. It really is not a matter of if, it's when. In terms of our customer base, it's happening now. We have customers at different levels of maturity around their security posture. But if we look at sort of the stats of for 2023 as a whole, these are the stats that we actually know about. 114 incidents reported in October alone. What about all the ones that don't know they've been breached? Okay, so I think it's fair to say that security is a big challenge and a problem, and it's something that we feel Microsoft has a good, compelling story and proposition to help you with that message and secure your environment. It does affect small businesses, large organisations. Looking at electoral roll, the Electoral Commission was breached this year as well. So just to show you that it's a problem for everybody right now. So how can Microsoft technology help? So Microsoft has a very end-to-end solution for security compliance. So first of all, Defender. Microsoft Defender is their native security platform, and it protects you from malicious software and threats, and it spans across hybrid on-premise architecture and cloud-based architecture as well. So we'll be looking to talk to you about Do you have Defender already? Are you using it? Do you have a license that you already own that includes it? Because it's often included in a bundle. And how can we get the best out of that technology to secure your environment using Microsoft Defender? And from the compliance side of things, you've got various methods to secure your data. So Microsoft Information Protection is included in certain licensing SKUs, which can help you to classify, label, and protect your data. Data loss prevention, for example, to prevent data leakage and data leaving applications or devices without your knowledge, if it's sensitive, for example. So these are the sorts of conversations that we're having on a daily basis, and Microsoft has a very much an end-to-end solution that can support you with securing your systems, your devices, your users' identities, and the data that you collaborate on. In terms of security, so I'll very quickly skim through this. So zero trust. The methodology around zero trust is that we no longer just sit in one office environment behind a firewall and you protect the bridge gate going into the castle very well. We've got users working from all over the world, different locations, a lot working from home. It's all about sort of saying, well, actually, should you have access, and giving you the least amount of access possible. So Microsoft's portfolio has a breadth of products that can actually support you with creating a zero trust security strategy. So start with identities, user identities, authentication, the endpoint, the device that they're trying to access with, is that secure? Is it compliant? Is it normal? Applications, data, even infrastructure and network. So a very detailed, comprehensive solution, and these might be things that you've already got that you might not be using right now, that we can help you to leverage. So your data, in terms of where it is and how it's accessed and shared. So I had a customer that I asked the question, what's the current situation with your data? Do you know where it is, how it's accessed, how it's shared? And they described it as the Wild West, which was my reason for bringing up the chaotic picture there on the screen. And he was like, yeah, we have no idea. We know roughly where our data is, but it's all over the place. We don't really feel we've got control over it. And that's because, data can live in many different locations. It can be, if you've got a traditional architecture, it could be on a file share, it could be in SharePoint document libraries, it could be in OneDrive, it could be stored on a local drive on an endpoint. Even third-party apps like Dropbox, Google, users like to work the way they want to work. With no governance or control around those apps, it often can sort of spread out into various places without little control or governance of where that data resides. So we recommend that if you haven't done an exercise like this, you should really look to understand your current data landscape. Knowing your data is really important. Where does it live? How are we accessing it? Which apps is it in? Where is it located? It's quite surprising. Often people don't really have a full picture of that, and they don't really know. It's quite a bit of work to sort of get your head around that and ascertain exactly how we're using our data and sharing our data. Once you know your data, you would protect your data using some of the Microsoft technology like information protection and DLP. And then DLP would prevent data loss and then governing your data. So having policies in place to store, retain, and hold records for compliance reasons, depending on your industry type as well. This is an example of a very simple data management plan. So again, knowing your data, this is a map, so a consultative exercise to sort of help a customer organization to realize where is everything, how does it all join together, what would good look like if we wanted it to be the best it could possibly be and as secure and compliant as it possibly could be, what would that look like? This is a very just a sample diagram of the sort of exercise that we go through, but this can often be much larger for larger organizations. Okay. There's lots of ways that you can secure your data that we'd recommend. I haven't got time to go through all 10 on the screen here, but if I was to pick 2 or 3 today, multi-factor authentication is a big one. If you're chasing down Cyber Essentials or Cyber Essentials Plus, it's an absolute must to have multi-factor in place. Often you've got licenses within the Microsoft portfolio that can easily enable that. It's actually free to enable, but the whole intelligence behind how it works is usually a paid for license, which we can help you to realize and enable. Microsoft are very good at giving you lots of preset security policies as well, so I'd highly recommend that you utilize those as at least as a baseline or a framework for you to build upon. And we help our clients to sort of start on a baseline and build out the bespoke nature of what they do and how they work into their policy sets. And I guess another one would be file sharing settings. It's very easy just out of the box to start using Teams, start sharing data, start putting things in OneDrive and sharing it with whoever you would like. And again, if there's no governance, if there's no policies in place to set out the criteria for sharing data and storing it and revoking access, then that can also put you in a very risky position in terms of data loss as well. I wanted to quickly show you that Microsoft do have individual licenses for some of the things we've been talking about that you can buy off the shelf. But often it's best to buy these in a bundle. And what you'll find is that you may already have a lot of this functionality that you can turn on or enhance what you're currently offering and doing. So 3 of the key sort of areas, enterprise ability and security, is their sort of security and endpoint bundle. Various tiers around that give you various levels of functionality, including Defender products, Intune for device management, and even information protection for protecting and classifying your data. And going into the Microsoft 365 areas, so you've got the SME product in the middle there, which is Microsoft 365 Business Premium, which is actually an up to 300 seat license SKU, but does include EMS E3, which I've just talked about. And some key Defender products as well to give you a good baseline security offering. So again, if you haven't got that or you have got that, we've often helped customers to realise the value out of that investment and get those things enabled and configured correctly. And then lastly, sort of the enterprise SKU, so E3 and E5, Microsoft 365. So they include the enterprise ability, but you also get the E5 compliance suite, which is the full stack of E5 compliance on the Microsoft platform that you can enable and utilize. So often what we find is, that there can be various gaps within your strategy, and actually we can help to plug those using Microsoft features and functionality that you may already have, or recommending a license uplift to support that journey and plug those gaps. Achieving more with less is the topic of this webinar. So Microsoft's strong play is that you live within the Microsoft 365 Office 365 platform. That's where you go to work. The wraparound has lots of products that can tick the security box, can tick the security and identity box, can tick the mobile device management piece as well. So if you're using other products, you can very quickly consolidate using the Microsoft stack to create a much simplified environment, but get better value overall, effectively, especially if you're already paying for these licenses, you've not actually turned them on. So lastly, defining the Microsoft strategy and why it's important. So I work very closely with key customers here at CAE to develop a strategy, Microsoft strategy. These are just some of the strategic objectives that I typically would talk to them about. So cloud adoption, if they're not utilising the cloud, why not? What works for them? What makes sense for them? Office 365 is a quick win. Utilising more of Office 365 makes sense, and that's the sort of things that we talk about. And just picking one more on the screen, that endpoint management and deployment. So often we find that they don't have a proper MDM strategy. It's not configured to best practice, and maybe things like BYOD, people using their own devices, we're not controlling access to data on those own devices, which we can certainly help and advise on as well. But these are just some of the key areas that we cover off that we would include in a strategic conversation. On the screen now is sort of an output of starting that strategic conversation. So defining a strategy, having a few workshops and conversations with customers to realise where they are now, what they're doing, and where they would like to get to, and then aligning the relevant Microsoft technologies to their target architecture design. So this is just an example of one that we've done in the past, which again, it's got other vendors in there, but generally it's showing you how the Microsoft ecosystem could fit into that forward view over the next 3 to 5 years. In terms of the delivery roadmap, when we work with customers strategically, we're working on short-term, medium-term, and long-term objectives. So the short-term things, the quick wins, things we need to do now, maybe security, enabling multi-factor authentication, implementing mobile device management and getting endpoints protected, unifying all of your applications that you use under one identity provider like Microsoft to provide single sign-on. They're just some of the things that may fall into a short-term requirement, but typically it would span over three sections, and the longer-term objective would be year three and above. So lastly, how can CAE and Microsoft help you with that journey? So we have compiled a number of sort of off-the-shelf packages and assessments that can support you now, and that we've done with other customers to date. So understanding security, we've got in-house assessments that we do to look at your tenant and advise on what's best practice, what you could be doing, what you're not doing, what could be done better. We also have a cyber security assessment that's often funded by Microsoft that we can nominate you for, which goes into even more detail around on-prem architecture and cloud architecture as well. I very much could give you a complete picture to go to a business level discussion to help improve that situation. Compliance, the Content Collaboration Accelerator, is effectively going back to showing that target architecture design, knowing your data, understanding how you work, how you want to work, what good looks like in the new world, and that's really getting your house in order. Especially if you're looking at Copilot, which Kat's going to be talking to you about shortly. That exercise is very popular because, again, you don't want your collaboration space to be like the Wild West, like one of our customers described it to us previously. And then roadmap and strategy. So again, just what I've talked to you about previously. So technical account management, we can help you with that forward view as well, and build that into your Microsoft strategy. And if you haven't implemented any security, we offer a security foundation package, which is very low touch to get some of those key security features enabled. We've got a bit about the TAM service. So when we're creating a forward view, when we're helping you to shape a strategy, it's very much about working with you as your trusted advisor. So we really want to help you to understand where you're at, align the right services to solutions that fit you and your organisation, and then build you a strategy off the back of that over a 1, 2, 3 year plus period.
Okay, so Copilot. Hopefully, we would have all heard about Copilot. So looking at Microsoft's work trend index, which was earlier on in this year, there's some key points that really sort of jump out at me. 57% of people spend more than half their day communicating in meetings, emails, and chat. I think we can all agree that is quite a true feeling. I certainly know that is how I feel. 68% of people say they just don't have enough interrupted focus time. Again, it's so easy now that meetings in Teams could just be put back to back in your diary. You just don't feel like you're getting a breather. They haven't got time to get a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And then 64% of people feel brain drain. What this means basically is that employees are facing challenges managing work tasks due to lack of energy and time. When you do have those back-to-back meetings, it is stressful. You've got to constantly think, trying to keep up to date with your emails, etc. So people are looking for a way to make your work-life balance better. So basically, people, your employees, I know certainly internally we feel like this, want to simplify their workday. So 80%, and that's a big number, would be happy to use AI to summarize their meetings and actions. That will free up so much time for you, especially if you are in back-to-back Teams meeting. You have a tool that can actually summarize your meetings. 86% of employees welcome AI to help them find the right answers. Now, I don't know if you've used Bing Chat Enterprise yet, but I use it regularly on a day-to-day basis, and I find it really helpful. And then basically 68% of people would feel comfortable using AI. Obviously, that's quite a good number. I know internally we're talking about Copilot. We're looking at how it can change the way we work and how it can help us create. So what is Copilot? So if you haven't heard what Copilot is or are unsure still, It is a tool powered by artificial intelligence. So it's there and it's been basically designed to help us change the way we work. Copilot is integrated into all of your favorite Microsoft 365 apps that we use daily. And it basically combines the power of large language models with data that us individual users use. So that would be collecting collecting information from emails, from chat, documents, and so much more. Now, obviously, Microsoft 365 Copilot isn't just the only Copilot out there. We've got ones for security, dynamics, and a handful more. Today is just purely around Microsoft 365 Copilot. So Copilot is designed to capture basically the essence of natural language. I've seen it work. It is a fascinating tool, especially when you do a deep dive into emails. When I saw it at a Microsoft event a couple of weeks ago, they showed us how basically Copilot wrote a response email, and just by a click of a couple of buttons, it changed the whole email to sound like that person would write that email, right down to how he signs his signatures. So there are a few things in the background that you need to make sure that you're aware of. Copilot isn't like any other license you can just add to your agreement. You must make sure that you're either a Microsoft 365 E3 or E5 user. Now, this is because it heavily relies on security, identity and governance. For the SMB market, you're looking at Microsoft 365 Business Standard or Business Premium. Now, again, we can work with you to help you get to a place where you're capable of being able to use those licenses. And it's really important as well that basically all of your data is held within your tenant and not on premise. However, we can work with you if you do need that sort of hybrid working, however, still. But Copilot looks at the data that's held within your tenant. Just going to play a quick video. It takes about a minute just to show you what Copilot is. So hopefully that gave you sort of a high level overview of what Copilot is capable of. Now, obviously, we're working with a few customers already. We have got together some workshops of how to prepare you for Copilot. We will look at your, like as I said, we'll look at your commercials. We'll look at what you've got advised to make sure that you have got the right licensing within your tenant. We deliver workshops, so we'll be doing workshops on compliance, security, governance. We work with Microsoft to run CSAT security reports as well, which is actually, so that's actually funded by Microsoft, and then we deliver those findings back to you and work with you to get you to a point where you're ready to be able to go down that Copilot path. We look at business case. Now, as we know, Copilot has been released on an EA agreement. The minimum seat count is 300 per user, per tenant. Hasn't been released on CSP yet, NC agreement. We're expecting it to be first quarter of next year, hopefully around end of January, February time, but we're still waiting for the commercials on that. So what I mean by that is obviously if there's a seat count and what that actually means to our customers. We will help you prepare for change. Obviously, we need to ensure that you're using best practices. By that, we mean you make sure you're labelling documents correctly. What you don't want is an employee to be searching for something and come across a confidential document that they shouldn't have access to. So that just rounds up today. The Copilot was a very high level. Obviously, if you've got any questions, please do drop them into the chat box. Harry and I are happy to answer any questions. Or if you prefer, scan our QR code. We'll be more than happy to book a call with you so we can go for more in depth. Sorry, apologies, we have run over a little bit today. It was a very high level overview of what we can actually do for you. So we'd be more than happy to have a really in-depth call with you and actually go into a lot more detail with you. Thank you for joining us. We do really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy your lunch on us. You should receive the voucher in about 1 to 3 days' time.